All right. Talking today about multiplying and dividing integers. Okay. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. I'm going to turn you loose here in a few minutes and go ahead and do the work on it. We will have a test on Friday, and we'll review for it in class tomorrow, and then have it on Friday. It will cover all of Chapter 1 that we've covered up to this point, so 1.1 through 1.7. But multiplying and dividing integers, I really just want to go over the rules here. When you multiply or divide integers, okay, if there is one negative sign, the answer is always negative. Okay. If there is two negative signs, the answer is always positive. Okay, if there's one negative sign, if there's one negative, the answer is always negative. If there's two negative signs, the answer is always positive. Okay, now this only applies to multiplication or division. Okay, so this is different than adding or subtracting. Copeland? There's nothing to change. There's no sign to change. There's no addition or subtraction sign. So you just multiply them out and see how many negative signs you have. Okay. Now, when there are more than two negative signs, the rule is an odd number of negatives is negative, and an even number of negatives is positive. All right. So, if I have this, 65 divided by negative 5. Okay, so there's one negative sign, answer is going to be negative. It's going to be negative 13. All the rest of it stays the same. That's just 5 into 65. It does not change what we do, does not change the operation, does not change anything. Just take the original problem, see how many negative signs you have. Now, if, let's say I had this, negative 17 times negative 20. Okay, that would be two negative signs. That would be a positive 340. If you had this, negative 840 over 70, or 7. That's just it's still division. 7 into 840. Goes 120 times. So that'd be a negative 120. Has nothing to do with size of numbers, nothing. One negative, it's negative. So it could be negative 1 times a million. Negative a million. It could be negative 1 times negative a million. That's a positive a million. Okay. Now, let's look at number 27. Number 27 says a MIR submarine, or excuse me, an MRI submersible is a type of submarine. As an MRI dives, its elevation changes by negative 100 feet each minute. Okay. It says, from the surface, the MRI takes about 200 minutes to reach the lowest point to which it can dive. What is the elevation of that point? So, if the little boat when it dives, it goes negative 100 feet per minute. Okay, so in the first minute, it'd be at negative 100. At 2 minutes, it would be at what? Negative 200. Okay, at 3 minutes, be at negative 300. Now, obviously, we don't want to have to do this for 200 minutes. Okay, that would be sort of ridiculous to do that. So how can I come up with an expression that tells me how deep it'll be in 200 minutes? Joshua? Right. We'd take 200 times negative 100. Okay? So you would to find its total depth after or at 200 minutes, okay, we would take 200 times negative 100. 200 times negative 100 would be what? Negative 2,000? Oh, I didn't see y'all answer it. Negative 20,000. So it'd be negative 20,000 feet below sea level. Okay, now, the next question they ask is how long would the MIR take to dive 1,000 feet below sea level? Okay, so what would I do to find out how long it would take to go 1,000 feet? You do what? Right. You divide 1,000 over negative 100. Okay? Because if you multiplying, to multiply you have to have how fast it's going down and how long it's going down. We don't have those two things. So to figure out total depth, see, and this is where your what we were doing comes into play. Total depth was equal to the number of minutes times the rate of descension. Okay? Well, here we have 1,000 for our total depth. We don't have the number of minutes, but we do have negative 100. Okay, so this would be the number of minutes. Well, to find the number of minutes, you just simply divide negative 100 into both sides. And that gives us the number of minutes is equal to what? Nope, 100 into 1,000. 10. Now, can you have negative time? No. So it's just got to be 10 minutes. You can't say that you travel for negative 2 minutes. Okay, so you can't have negative time. So it's always going to, time is always going to be positive. Now, the reason it's positive is because if I'm going to go 1,000 feet, is that going to be above the sea or below the sea? Below. So that really should be negative 1,000 feet. That's why it's positive in our mathematical sense, because you're diving below sea level. All right, I want you to do number 29 and 33. In your notes, do 29 and 33. They're not word problems, they're just regular problems. Huh? 29 and 33, it's on the screen. I wrote it in Spanish numbers, so maybe that confused you. All right. Joshua, what'd you get on the first one? 29. 1,250. Yes, that would be correct. Is it negative or positive, though?
Positive.
No.
Yeah, but they're all negative.
Doesn't matter. How many negative signs are there? 3. Is that an odd number or even number? So it's negative. That's what it means. Okay, if you got an odd number of negative signs, then it would be negative. You don't worry about whether the number is odd. It's not like if you got 1251, it's negative. You got 1250, it's even. No, it's the number of negative signs. So in that problem, remember, you write it out.